Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am here with a book haul for you because I've been kind of bad this past month and I have 9 books to show you. So let's just get right into it. The first 2 I bought when I actually took a trip back down to San Diego. It was early in July and it turns out that my employee discount still works at the bookstore that I used to work at. So I got 2 books. The first was The Rose and the Dagger by Renee Ahdieh. This is the sequel to The Wrath and the Dawn, which I have but can't show you because I lent it out to a friend. I enjoyed the first book enough that I got the sequel, so I'm interested to see where the series goes. This is a 1001 Nights retelling. And then the next one is called Borderline by Michelle Baker. This is a new series and possibly new author, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure this is her first novel. I think she's had some short fiction published before, but this is an urban fantasy. It's an adult fiction book. It is set in LA, and it starts with a woman who is bipolar and who apparently jumped off a building in a failed suicide attempt, and basically she ends up being recruited by this like sort of secretive government agency to go solve paranormal things. I don't know, it was getting really good reviews and I had some friends that really liked it and it just looked cool. Also, I didn't really notice at the time when I bought it, but it is actually signed by the author, which is kind of cool. So the next one I got because I was placing an order on Amazon for a textbook, and then it turned out that if I added just $10 more of specifically books, I would get free shipping, whereas if I wanted free shipping generally, it would have to be another like 20. So I ended up getting Hold Me Like a Breath by Tiffany Schmidt. This is a fairy tale retelling of, I can't remember which one. I was told which fairy tale this retells, but I have forgotten which one, but it was one of the less common ones. It wasn't like Cinderella or anything. And the premise of this is that the main character belongs to a family of like black market organ traders. So I kind of had to get it, like just with that premise, and I like fairy tale retellings, so yeah, I just kind of had to check it out. I've heard that the sequel is not as good, but I'm definitely going to at least be interested in the first one. So the next 2 that I picked out were because I was at a bookstore for a signing. The first one is Rise, the complete Newsflesh collection by Mira Grant. This is kind of the reason that I was at the signing. I am a big fan of the Newsflesh series. I've mentioned it a couple times on this channel. It's basically like political thriller but also zombies, and so this is a collection of all of the short fictions that Shauna McGuire / Mira Grant is a pen name, has ever written for the series, but it also contains 2 new novellas that have never been printed before, so it's a pretty good deal. It's a pretty hefty book. I'm actually going to be using this for my read a book that's more than 600 pages for the Pop Sugar Reading category, and I had actually only read 2 of the stories in here, and I think there are 8. Yeah, I had read Countdown, which is the one that's about like the actual initial rising, and then I had read San Diego 2014, The Last Stand of the California Browncoats, which is what happens when zombies get to Comic-Con. It's great, and it has made me cry twice. So the whole idea of Newsflesh is that basically zombies happened but we didn't lose, and so most of the action takes place about 20 years after the initial zombie outbreak. So some of these take place right during the outbreak to sort of fill in some of those gaps, but then there are also some that take place sort of more in the timeline of the series, and I just think it's a really great collection. I'm really excited to read it. I'm part of the way through it because they had Countdown and San Diego 2014 right in the beginning, which were the ones that I've already read, so I got through those pretty quickly. And then the next one that I picked up while I was there at that signing was Heroine Complex by Sarah Kuhn. I believe this is set in San Francisco, and basically it is about a superhero's personal assistant, which I just think is kind of funny. And so that just kind of sold me on it, and the author did a reading at it and it seemed, you know, clever and funny, so I am willing to check it out and I will let you guys know how it goes. So the last ones on here I managed to justify purchasing because Barnes & Noble was having 20% off sales. So the first of these was The Girl from Everywhere by Heidi Heilig, I guess. This is one that's been getting talked about a fair amount. It is a YA fantasy story about time travel involving basically her family can travel between times based on maps. Like if they have an original map that they've never been to before, they can go into that time and place of the map, which is just a really cool time travel gimmick, I guess. That's the wrong word, but you know what I mean. And so the sort of crux of this is that her father is very distant, fairly cold, and he is looking for a map of 1868 Honolulu, which is where her mother died giving birth to her. And so she is concerned because possibly what he's trying to do is, I believe, save her mother, and that might end up wiping her out. So that seems to be sort of the crux of the plot of this one, and so I am definitely interested in checking that out because the time travel seemed really cool. So the next book that I got was You Know Me Well by David Levithan and Nina LaCour. I love Nina LaCour and David Levithan. I think I like Nina LaCour maybe a tiny bit more, but that's mostly because she wrote Everything Leads to You, and that is one of my absolute favorite books. So this is an LGBT YA contemporary. It features two main characters, Mark and Kate. It's apparently told in dual perspective, and it's, I think, about just sort of one night where they end up meeting because they've both sort of had some heartbreak involving their first loves, and they are both queer, I believe. Kate's in love with a girl, Mark's in love with a guy, and it seems like it's just sort of about friendship and queer kids coming together, so, you know, I thought I'd check it out, and I like both of these authors, so we'll see how that goes. So the next book on here is The Square Root of Summer by Harriet Reuter Hapgood. This apparently is about a girl who is loves math and decides to attempt, I think, time travel to possibly save her grandfather who has died, or at least maybe spend some more time with him. I'm a little unclear on that part, but it's just been getting talked about and it seemed a little weird, and I'm interested in things that are a little bit weird, so I just thought I would check it out. And I read the first, I think, chapter in the bookstore and I didn't hate the writing styles. And then the last book of the haul, I know, I sort of can't believe I bought all these books either, is I Darkened by Kirsten White. This is a fantasy, historical fantasy, about what if Vlad the Impaler was a teenage girl. Alright. I guess I'll check that out. So the main character is a girl named Lada, or Leda, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, and basically her and her brother were sort of ransomed off to the Ottoman Empire, and so she has grown up sort of being this political pawn, and she basically just wants to get revenge on people that have imprisoned her and possibly her family that sent her away. I'm not totally clear on that. But she cares about her brother, who is much more like gentle and caring than she is, and I'm not sure how this is gonna go. I am just hoping that this book doesn't try to like sterilize the violence, because as much as I'm not really a fan of like gratuitous violence, I'm also not a fan of sort of whitewashing over the brutality of things. Like, if you're gonna have a main character who's basically Vlad the Impaler, you need to acknowledge that you have a main character who's basically Vlad the Impaler and all of the complexities that go along with someone who is that brutal. So that's just sort of my hope for the series. I guess we'll see how that goes, and I will let you guys know. So that is actually everything that I bought in July, and let me know if you've read any of the books that I mentioned down in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of them, and I will see you guys very soon with another video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye!